Thanks, Felicia. The important part about today is that these are easy cookie decorating tips. So they are meant to be easy. They are not very complex. They're something that you can definitely do, even if you want to do with a kid, grandkid, niece, nephew, friend, anybody like that. It's an easy kind of alternative to dyeing Easter eggs would be to decorate some of these cookies and make something really nice and special for the holidays. So we are going to switch over to the other camera and I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm using today. And some of the things that I'm using today are going to be the royal icing is the star of the show. So this royal icing is from Satin Ice and you can grab this at Michael's. It has a piping consistency and I'm using a white. What's nice about this icing is that it's vegetarian friendly and it is nut free. So you don't have to worry about those things. Do check out in case there are other allergens, but they try and make it as allergen friendly as possible. And you can see these cookies that I have placed out here already. So this is the kind of easy decorating we're going to be doing, where we're going to be using some food coloring in the royal icing and doing a couple of different decorating techniques to come up with something kind of cool. The cookies that I like to use are the Keebler Sandies. I use the classic shortbreads. If you use the pecan sandies, it's fine, but they're a little bit chunkier on the top because they have those nuts in them. So what I like about these shortbread cookies, I've tried several different kinds of cookies to use on this technique. And if the cookie's too soft when you're dipping it, it's going to kind of crumble. So you want a hard base cookie like a shortbread kind of cookie. So especially at this time, you can go into a lot of grocery stores and they already have pre-shaped eggs that are shortbread, and that might be helpful to you also. So then the other big component is going to be the food color gel. So this is food color gel also from Satin Ice, and it's going to give me several different colors to play with. And I'm going to be playing with them on paper plates and kind of showing you how I go through this decorating process. So if you have any questions, let me know in the chat and I'll be happy to help answer as many things as I can. I'm also going to have a little bit of water and some spoons and some toothpicks in order to kind of get me going with this too. So I'm going to start off with one of my paper plates and I'm going to open up the royal icing. And if you are just now opening this up for the very first time, the inside starts to get a little bit dried and a lot of the moisture is at the bottom of this particular container. So you definitely need a strong spoon to get in there and kind of mix it around. It might be a little powdery at the top. And again, that's because it's starting to dehydrate a little bit. So you want to go ahead and mix that all in. And this has a certain consistency that's definitely not ready to drip onto cookies. It's going to be slow moving, getting off of this spoon. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a spoonful of this onto our first plate. So I'm literally just taking a scoop and putting it onto this plate. And then because this is not quite the right consistency yet, I'm going to add a little bit of water. So I'm going to add capfuls of water. It's probably about a teaspoon or a tablespoon. I'm going to do 1 capful and see what kind of consistency I can stir up with this. Now, the reason why I'm putting it onto this paper plate is because I don't want to mess up the consistency inside of my container. So I want this to stay pure and I want this to stay exactly the way the manufacturer intended. But I'm going to take little bits of it at a time and put it onto something separate in order to make a more runny consistency. So if you're doing piping and you're doing edges, you want that thicker consistency to hold those lines. But for what we're going to do with dripping and kind of to me, it feels like paint pouring a little bit with cookies. So an edible form of paint pouring and just messing with some of the colors and letting them do their thing. So this consistency might be hard to tell on this angle, but we have a lot more movement. So this 1 capful of water was enough for my spoon of royal icing to give me a much thinner consistency that's really smooth and really easy to work with. So this is going to be my white icing plate. And then I'm going to start another plate. And I'm going to take a little bit from the white icing plate, and I'm going to make 4 smaller pockets. And these are each going to be for the colors I'm going to use. So I'm going to do 4 pretty small, about a quarter size on here. I'm going to turn this light on so you can see a little better. So I'm taking the white icing from the white icing plate and I'm putting it onto a second plate for about quarter size dots. And then you can see I might need a little bit more of my white icing, so I might go back and add another scoopful when I'm ready. But what I'm doing with this plate here is this is going to give me some of my colors. So a warning, be careful with the dyes. You can dye your fingers. So you might want to use gloves if you have gloves. Make sure, since this is food crafting, you're always washing your hands and keeping everything nice and safe too. But I'm going to take each one of these colors and I'm going to put just 1 drop along the side of each one of these white puddles. So I'm not putting it directly into the puddle, and I'll show you why, but I am putting each one of these colors as just 1 drop next to each one of these puddles. So I have blue, green, yellow, and red. And the cookies that I showed you before, these are using, there's several different kinds of satinized food gels. These are the neon color collection, so that might give you a little bit more of an Easter feel if that's what you're going for. But I'm using today the more general colors. So I'm going to be using red, yellow, green, and blue. I definitely don't like using a lot of black in food. So I put yellow, and my last dot of color is going to be red. Now is where I'm going to use toothpicks. If you don't have toothpicks, you could use craft sticks, popsicle sticks. You could probably use small spoons too, but I think toothpicks are going to work the best for what we're doing. So here's one of my colors. And if I just take my toothpick and just start mixing this color in to this puddle, you'll start seeing this nice blue appear. And so I'm kind of mixing it into this white puddle, and I am going to leave some of that white so that I can kind of drag in different colors. I'm going to leave that toothpick there, and I'm going to go to each of these colors, and I'm kind of making a painting palette with these colors. And you can tell it doesn't take a lot of dye in order to get a really deep color. So if you want this color to be even lighter, you can add a lot more white icing, and you can definitely make that happen. So I'm just mixing these in and grabbing these 4 different colors. And I'm keeping a different toothpick with each one of these colors. And then we're going to kind of use these as our paint palette, and we're going to play with some designs and play with these toothpicks. I'm getting a bunch more toothpicks ready. And here's a little bit of that red that's showing up for us. Now, royal icing, what's great about royal icing is that when it dries hard. And so you can actually stack cookies on top of each other without ruining your designs, because they form this hard kind of covering when they're dry. So they do dry relatively quickly also, which means that you're going to need to work at a pretty good pace or keep stirring your icing up. All right, now we're ready for the dipping and the dripping. So here's my white icing plate. I'm going to try and keep this white, and I'm going to keep adding to this as I need more and more. And as I create cookies, I'm going to put them onto like a drying plate. So I'm using a little shortbread cookie, and I have a nice puddle with a really good consistency working in here. And I'm going to take the cookie, and I'm literally going to dip it into this icing. And I'm kind of twisting it around and trying to make sure that I cover the whole top. And then you can pull it up, and you should have a pretty nice coating already. But in order to smooth it out, you can take the bottom of a spoon, give yourself a really nice, shiny, good surface. You can also use your finger or your glove in order to kind of wipe down the sides and keep it all on the circle of the cookie. So this is a great base for us to play with. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to play with some colors. So this white plate is going to be for us to dip the bases into, And then this colorful palette is going to be for us to play with colors. So I'm going to take some red and I'm going to use the toothpick to apply straight lines. So I'm using this toothpick and I'm just dragging some lines of this colored icing across. And they do not need to be perfect. And you're welcome to go back over them if you want to make them thicker. Or if you miss a spot, you can go back and kind of dot some in. And I'm just going to make several different lines across my cookie. Maybe one more here, and maybe one more up here. And then when you feel pretty good about the straight lines that you have, then you're going to take your toothpick. And in order to create these like U's or V's or kind of arched kind of lines, we're just going to drag our toothpick in a straight line and bring that color down. And I'm going to drag in the same direction. And I'm going to keep going and drag the lines. And you can change up the direction, but it's going to change up the pattern. So I want to keep dragging in the same direction to keep all of my curves kind of going in the same way. And you've already ended up with one cool looking cookie. Now, if anything's kind of falling off the side, you're welcome to use your finger and kind of wipe that down, or you can just let it do its thing. Let it drip off if you want to, and put it onto your drying plate. And then we can keep trying several different techniques to see what we kind of like best. So that was the first technique, was just drawing lines, just dragging lines of icing across, and then using your toothpick to kind of pull each of those lines down just to give some fun, different look to it. All right, so I'm back to my white plate. And I'm going to take one of my cookies and I'm going to make sure that I have a nice puddle to get into. There's a crumb already. That's going to happen. So give yourself a nice puddle to dip into. And then when you're ready, take the cookie and dip in to give yourself a really nice solid base. And I like to kind of swirl it to the side to try and get it as nice and smooth as I can. Then I'm going to take this, kind of pull it to the side. Okay, and then I'm going to try another kind of design where we're going to do something similar to what we just did, but this time I'm going to have the lines going down towards me, which is really the same as what we were doing before. And I'm going to do some different colors. There we go. And so I'm just adding some color to my palette. And you can try lots of different things. It's all about, you know, giving it a whirl. So I see in the chat that vanilla wafers, I think vanilla wafers would be good. I don't think that they would be too soft, and I don't think they'd be too small because I don't think they're that much bigger than the Sandy shortbreads that I'm using right now. So you can do the same thing where you can drag your color, or you can try something different. This time I'm going to drag in two different directions. So I might drag in this direction and then drag in the other direction. So I'm changing up that design by going in two different ways. And this will kind of what I call self-heal. The royal icing tends to, if you have any little holes, it kind of fills them in. If you need to help it, you can, but it usually does a pretty good job of filling itself in. And then maybe you've seen on some of those TikTok videos where people use the little tools in order to help them fill up any spots. And then I'm going to go ahead and wipe down this side so that I have a nice edge. And I have another cool looking cookie that has a different kind of design. So the next one I'm going to do is going to be more of a swirl pattern. So we're going to try that out. But this is a lot of just give it a whirl, see if you like it. And if you don't, try again. Or you can always kind of mix the design into the cookie itself and have a new color to be the top and then try another design on top of that too. So I'm going to go and dip another cookie. And this time I think I'm going to dip the cookie into one of the colors. So I'm getting this red ready. And I kind of think I want to add some yellow to it. And I'm going to try and go for like an orange. Maybe this is like going to be a basketball, getting ready for March Madness. You can make a bunch of basketball cookies and have them sitting out to watch the game. That could be really fun. So I'm mixing the yellow and the red together, and I'm going to dip the whole cookie into this just to give it a try. If you want to keep your palette separate, you don't have to dip into your palette. That's completely up to you. Here's some more cookies. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to dip into this orange to give me a base. And I'm kind of twisting into this icing to see if I can get a nice smooth cover. And this wasn't totally smooth, so I'm going to use my toothpick and a little bit more icing in order to smooth it over. Get ourselves a nice good base that's ready to go. And then what I'm going to do different on this one this time is I'm going to use some white on top of the orange base. So I'm going to do kind of like a reverse of what I was just doing. So I'm going to take some of the white icing from my white plate, and I'm going to use it to try and swirl. So first I'm just going to lay down some icing in what I think is going to be like a swirl pattern. So I'm using the toothpick and I'm pulling some of this icing from the white plate and I'm moving it around. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just kind of giving some of this white icing some direction on the cookie. And then once you have a basic swirl pattern, you can take your toothpick and kind of spread that swirl. So I'm going to kind of mix it with the orange that's in here to give it that more like organic, kind of almost tie-dye feel. So I love when the whites and the oranges kind of mix together in order to make, can you see that a little better without that? I love it when they kind of mix together in order to see more of like a tie-dye kind of spiral. So this looks like a really cool organic swirl tie-dye. So if you're having a party and you want to have some tie-dye party and you want to have some tie-dye cookies, this would be a really good cookie. And it's easy. So you can actually make part of the party making the cookies because it's a pretty easy craft that I think a lot of people would enjoy. And it doesn't feel like you need a ton of skill to be able to do it. So it seems like one of those crafts that I feel like a lot of people can be very successful at. And I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep dipping. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat if there's anything that you want to add in or anything that you want to see or want to try. I'm going to give myself another scoopful of my white icing so that I can make some more of my base. So I'm putting a scoopful of white icing and it definitely has a thicker consistency than what I already have. It's more like a toothpaste than a runny kind of syrup. So I'm going to keep mixing it in with what I already have, and I might need to add just a cap full of water. So when I'm adding my cap full of water, it's probably about a tablespoon or maybe a little bit less than that. So I don't know if I'm going to need to add any more water or not. This is looking pretty good. I think I might need just a little bit. So the reason why I'm telling that I can need just a little bit is because it's pretty sticky. So it's not falling off my spoon and just dripping. So I know that when I dip it, it wouldn't give a really nice smooth dip. So I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of water. Here we go. And then I'm going to stir that in. So again, what I'm doing is I'm taking scoopfuls from the big container and putting them onto a separate plate so that I don't dilute the actual icing and what I'm working with on the plate. If I ever got this too watery, right now for me, since I'm working on the plate, I can go ahead and put some more of the thicker consistency in here to balance it back out. But if I would have messed up what was in the actual jar, then you would need some powdered sugar or some of the dry ingredients that are already in this in order to kind of make it more firm. So I do know some people who make homemade sugar cookies. I don't know if this is just me, but those sugar cookies that are at Walmart that are pretty big, I've tried those, but then they crumble when I dip them because they're soft on the inside. So if the sugar cookie is nice and hard, it's definitely going to be very easy for you to dip. So anything homemade is totally going to work, but what you're really looking for is something that's pretty sturdy. So this shortbread that I'm using is pretty thick and pretty sturdy, so it's not going anywhere. It's not going to give me any dips inside of it when I put it into when I tried other cookies, I would put it into the puddle, and when I tried to pull it back up, the cookie would still be in the puddle. So you can imagine that if the cookie is too soft, it's not going to work for you. So I'm dipping. And again, if you don't want to dip, another method is literally dripping. So you can also drip the icing onto the top to get yourself another good cover. And once you have another good cover or another good base, now this time around, I'm going to try and lighten some of these colors a little bit by adding some more white. So I'm going to add more white to my palette of colors to try and get some of these darker colors to lighten up a bit and be a little bit more spring-like. So I'm adding a little bit more white to each of these, and I can mix them in. And I like to try and leave some of the white over here so that if I get a color I like, I can stop. But if I want it even lighter, I can kind of pull from this puddle and keep going until I get it to a color that I like. So this is a much lighter green than what I was working with before. And I'm sure the same will happen with the blue. And sometimes before I even get all of the blue mixed up, I love how that's already looking. So that's something fun that I can play with on my cookie. And if I just do some different dots or dabbles of different colors of the blue, so I might have a little bit of the darker blue and a little bit of the lighter blue and kind of put that on my cookie. You can do these dots on purpose to be dots like you're doing polka dots, but I'm just putting color onto this cookie because I'm going to kind of spread it around and try and make some more colorful designs. So I'm going to use some yellow with this too. So I'm using yellow and blue because I know that they're going to work well together and they're not going to mix to make a brown. They're going to make a green if they mix. So I'm going to put some dots of yellow on here too, or some drips of yellow, kind of go with it. And just add some fun to your cookie. And you can decide if that's where you want to stop or if you want to keep going with your colors. But then I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm just going to kind of drag this around and do some different movement. So this is really free-form cookie decorating, or just go with it. I love that. I think it's cool. So I love how these just organic designs kind of show up as you drag them around. Let some of the blues and yellows mix together to get a couple of green colors into. This seems like a lot of white space, so I'm purposely going to drag some color up there. Move some around there. You can wipe off the side to keep it nice and crisp. And then you can have a beautiful finish to it too. So it says in the chat, when the cookies sit for a while, do they dry? Yes. We can test it at the end of class, but I would probably leave them for about an hour. They don't take all night, but I definitely wouldn't start stacking them until after I've left them out for a while. But they will dry enough for you to be able to move them around for sure, probably within this hour that we have together today. So here's what we have so far. We have some of our red drips just kind of moving. We moved in two different directions. We moved in kind of a swirl. We moved in a really organic way. And the next one I want to show you, I'm really excited about, is very similar to the first one we did, but this time we're going to put some curves and we're going to pull all the lines towards the same point, and it kind of gives almost like a peacock feel to it. So I'm going to try this one next with you, and we can do that in whatever colors you want to. I'm going to be dipping into my white base and kind of working from there. So here's my white base. I think I need another drying plate because I already have so many beautiful cookies. I can't wait to eat these later too. They're almost too pretty to eat, but that's not such, there's no such thing as too pretty to eat. You should always eat cookies. All right, so those of you who are playing along, like I would love to see what you're doing. So if you want to hold something up or let us know or show us, please do. We'd love to see it. You can also tag us at Learn with Michaels, or use our hashtag Learn with Michaels so that I can see what you're doing, because I'd love to see some more of your cookie decorations. A little decoration on the top, absolutely. Okay, here we go. Oh, so maybe like some sprinkles or some little bunny. That would be cute too. Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm dipping this white into my white base, and I'm giving myself a nice good cover across the top to give me a palette to work with. I'm gonna use my spoon to kind of smooth off and give myself a nice shiny finish to the top. And then this time when I add my lines, I'm going to add them in kind of curves. And then when I drag the lines using my toothpick, I'm going to drag all the lines to this bottom point down here. So this is my base coat, and I'm going to start adding some colors. So here's a blue. I'm going to try and curve it. And here's some yellow. Oops, got it on my fingers. And I'm adding that layer of yellow, maybe get some on the cookie instead of my fingers this time. There we go. I didn't add any more to this red-orange situation over here. I'm gonna add some more. Now it's gonna be like this lighter orange, which I think is gonna be fun to play with too. Oop. Ooh, I like that. These colors are looking good. So I'm curving these lines just a bit. And then I'm going to take one of my toothpicks and I'm going to drag all of these lines in the same direction towards this bottom point. So here we go. I'm pulling it. So on the sides, I'm definitely starting to make more of a diagonal. Nice. And then this is going to kind of heal. And if I need to kind of help it, I can. And I like to kind of clear off the sides as I'm going to keep it on the top. Ooh. And I have like a wet washcloth off to the side, because if I was in my kitchen, I'd be washing my hands a lot. So I'm just kind of keeping my hands from getting so crazy. And it looks like in this middle, I just want to make sure that this gets pushed back together. I'm kind of helping it. And then when this dries, you're going to have this really nice kind of fanned out peacock feel to it. So that's by doing these curves and dragging all these curves towards that same point at the bottom is going to give you that fanned feel. Yeah, so I see in the chat a suggestion about making bunnies and characters. So last night I was trying this because I had a really nice orange color and I had a really nice green color going on. And what I was thinking is if you make some straight lines with green and then underneath it put some little orange triangles to maybe make some carrots. So this is kind of on the spot, but I'm happy to try it. Why not? So I'm going to go ahead and get myself a base, and we'll try and make a row of carrots and see if we end up liking it or not. So this is just us kind of playing around with these techniques and seeing what we can create, because you don't really know what you can do until you try it. So I'm dipping this cookie to get a good base. I'm going to smooth it over with my spoon. And I'm going to try and make some carrots. We'll see. All right. Sometimes it's easier for me to decorate on a hard surface rather than holding it up like I was for the camera. So I'm going to try and do it down here. Let me know if you can't see that. I can always hold it up. So I'm going to start with some green. And I'm going to give me a line of green. Beautiful. And then I'm going to take that green and I'm going to kind of drag it up, and I'm going to be making like the tops of the carrots. So I'm just kind of dragging it up to make what I think the tops of the carrots are going to look like. So some of those like carrot tops. And then underneath that, I'm going to start trying to make some orange triangles to be like the carrots. Maybe they're growing still underneath the ground. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Don't give up yet. So I'm making this like triangle shape to get myself a carrot down here. I kind of like that.
You know what would work
Yep.
is a piping bag or the coloring that have the tips on them.
Yep. To do a lot more precise decorating.
Yes.
I think you're right, Felicia. Rather than a toothpick? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I mean, well,
You do what
you
you
have a little bit
do.
more control.
Yeah, you do what you do, you know? So here's my carrot patch. And you know, for a first carrot patch, I don't think these are bad. I would still eat this cookie. I know that for sure. So I'm gonna make these stems kind of come up here. But I kind of like that it's fun. It's just silly. Why
You
not?
did good. You did good.
Why not? You know? All right, I'm gonna make one more and then I think that's gonna be it. So if you have any questions, now would be a great time to ask. These will dry pretty quickly. So going back, oh, so I was able to touch this. I wouldn't say that it's dry, but it's already has that hard surface. So I think we've been about 15 minutes since we made this cookie. So 15 minutes will give you a good finish, but I wouldn't stack them yet. I would just keep waiting, be a little bit more patient. I would probably say about an hour would be good. Yeah, someone said that they'd be great for a bake sale. I agree. And I just really like the crazy cool designs. So some of the other ones that I was trying are just like polka dots. That's fun for a kid's birthday, for an Easter basket, for whatever. Give yourself some swirls, give yourself some different. This was just colors all over and then drag them around like I did with one of the other ones. So there's lots of ways to just play with this very easy, low stress cookie decorating. You do not have to be a professional. You do not need to buy a lot of ingredients. It's really just this royal icing in the food coloring and some cookies. So here's my last cookie. Let's make it a good one. I'm gonna get myself a nice puddle. And like I said before, if you don't want to dip into it, and maybe this is for people who have softer cookies too. If you don't want to dip in, you can always drip instead of dip. And if you drip onto the top to give yourself a nice base, then you can work from there. So that dripping worked really nicely for this cookie because my puddle is starting to get scarce. Ooh, Earth Day blues and green. Yes, love that. So I'm going to add some color. and see what happens with this one and just have fun. Enjoy the cookie process. I like this orange color. One more time. Woohoo! Grand finale. Oh. This green is determined to be on my fingers today. It just really wants that. All right. I'm gonna drag these colors around and see what happens. I think I need to sit it down. So I can be a little more steady. This is giving me heart vibes, kind of hearts inside of hearts inside of hearts. I like that.
So while you're doing that, I'm just going to shout you out some more.
Okay.
Just know that Meghan has another class this afternoon, and that is create a custom tumbler. So definitely, if you love her technique and how she's teaching, definitely come back and watch her again later today.
Yep. That's the truth. All right, so here's my final cookie extravaganza. Again, I would love to see what you're making and how it's going for you. So if you have time and you want to put some on to social media, just tag us. Oh, yes, thank you. Tag us at Learn with Michael so that we can see a really good picture of it. So thank you so much for coming. This was really fun. I hope it was an easy cookie decorating class, and I hope that you're able to come up with something really fun and creative. So please come back and join me on Thursdays and Fridays, and we'll learn brand new things. Thanks for coming.